Hi everybody. Today's topic is very serious, but an important one, and that is the topic of suicide, the causes of suicidal thoughts. I live in South Florida, not too far from the Parkland community, where recently we had 2 deaths by suicide at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School just over a year after the mass shooting occurred. And since then, I've had a number of people ask me to please do a video on the topic of suicide, adolescent suicide in particular, because if you aren't aware, adolescent suicide is now the 3rd leading cause of death among the ages of 15 to 24 years old. So it's a really serious issue that unfortunately is happening all around the country right now. And so to help me get this video to as many people as possible, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Take a second, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, watch it in its entirety. And if you're willing, put in the description box below #BeTheOneToBeThere, which pledges that you are willing to listen with compassion and empathy to anybody who is struggling with suicidal thoughts or urges. And finally, before we jump in, though it's unlikely, it is possible when listening to or talking about suicide that it may trigger suicidal thoughts or urges in you. So if this happens, know what to do. Pick up the phone and call somebody you trust, or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at the number below, or just go to your nearest emergency room. Obviously, there is no one cause of suicidal thought, so we have to dig a little bit deeper here. We have to look at what is at the root of suicidality. What's at the root of suffering in general? So suffering happens when our inner life feels very chaotic, very distressing thoughts, emotions, memories, or urges are showing up, and we are fused by this experience that we're having. When I say fused, I mean it's like we've put on a pair of sunglasses and the whole world is tainted in that color. And we all know what this feels like, right? We've all had moments of extreme anxiety or anger or sadness when we feel completely consumed by what's happening inside of us. And we often become very impulsive in those situations because we trigger our fight or flight response in that moment. When our fight or flight response gets triggered, our brain and our body kind of shift into this mode where it's like we just have to get out of this situation as fast as we can. So when we start doing things to escape psychological or emotional pain, and stuff that makes us feel better in the short term but costs us, makes life worse in the long term, we call this experiential avoidance. Psychologists will tell you that experiential avoidance it's actually a part of the human condition, meaning we all do this stuff to feel better in the short term. But if you look at the DSM-5, you look at a lot of the mental health conditions in the DSM-5, you find high amounts of experiential avoidance tactics at the root of them. And when you look at the common warning signs of suicide, you see experiential avoidance in action. Avoiding friends, family, activities that we used to enjoy, engaging in really reckless behavior like drinking and drugging. All of this stuff can numb out pain in the short term, but consequently leads to more pain over time. We can jeopardize our relationships in many areas of our life. We can feel more isolated, more hopeless, more trapped, more angry, anxious, overwhelmed. They often stop sleeping well. Life feels a lot more dull. We can lose touch with a sense of meaning and purpose. And so all of these are warning signs for suicide because it's like this. It's very paradoxical. The more we try to escape this psychological and emotional pain that we're experiencing through these experiential avoidance tactics, the more trapped I start to feel, the less room I have to breathe in my life, the more life starts to close down around me, the more hopeless I start to feel. And when everything else has been tried to escape and nothing has worked, our mind's next experiential avoidance tactic is naturally thoughts of suicide. Emotional distress that we become fused with, that we then try to escape, that leads to more distress, that results in a lack of meaning, purpose, and sense of hope, is a recipe for the deterioration of mental health and the inevitability of suicidal thoughts and urges. And so this may feel very clinical or very simplistic, and I don't mean it to be, but I do think it's important that we know this recipe that leads us down this track so we can do something different. Because here's the good news. 70 to 90% of people who get help recover, have a better quality of life, learn how to turn this equation from a death sentence into one of resilience. Once again, if you did like this video, please hit that like button and share this with your friends. Put hashtag be the one to be there in the description box below. And if you have any questions, comments, or would like a follow-up video, please put that in the description box as well. I check them personally every week. Thanks for your time. See you soon.